Thanks everybody for coming. Good to see you all. Yeah, today's a Landon party. Sorry, but we're really excited. As you can see, it's looking good. We're so excited to have you all here, to have people here, and to actually be able to start serving clients in the space. I think as we're putting things together, it feels more and more real of like, there's a lot of potential in every room of this place. So yeah, so we're really, really, really grateful to you all, and everybody here has supported in multiple ways to get us to this point. And now we're going to launch and see how it goes. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say something really quick. So, we want to say thank you all so much for everything that you've done to get to this place. We have been talking with a lot of our experienced folks and you all and our meal providers because we are putting this together and we're trying to make it the best thing we can. Thought of a lot of things. We know that there's things that we're missing, and this is a classic example of the putting the plane together while you're flying, right? And so we would ask for some grace in knowing that we know that we're going to hit bumps and things will get better as time goes on. We just want to continue to have debriefs and follow up with you guys and see what's working and what's not. We're starting to put together a lot of policy and procedure in terms of how everything goes, how each of the lived experience workers are happening. Lennon put this together today for everything that we can try to think of for service providers. If there's things that aren't in here or more things that you want clarity with, let us know so that we can make those changes so that we don't run into those speed bumps later, right? But we're trying to make it this open, hey, like talk to us and work with us so that we can continue improving so that this can be the best place we can make it. Fair? Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
No, that's great. So yeah, feel free to jump in with questions. Hopefully we'll answer a lot of specific questions today. So most likely we'll get to your question if we haven't already. But the reason we wanted to do this final orientation meeting was just to go over the really specific logistics of like what actually is going to happen starting on Tuesday when clients show up. So all this information, I guess this font's a little small, but all this information and more is available on our website. If you go to sbac.org/FARO Center Providers, that's going to be your home base for if you want to reserve a room, if you want to see these PowerPoint slides, if you need to report an incident, that kind of stuff. Yes. It's currently open, but we could make it locked if we feel like that's important. So, and then there is an email address if you're struggling to remember names. Hopefully you'll know Eric and Leticia by the end of this, but FARO Center at sbac.org goes to both of them as well. So yeah, really encourage you, check out that website even this week. Yeah, I'll show you in a few minutes here.
When anything's done on there, if you want to reserve, can we see a calendar that shows what's available?
Yes.
I think maybe it shouldn't be.
Yeah, so we can lock it. Maybe I'll just put the same password we're using for a lot of these things to make it easier for you all. But the password for almost everything you're going to see today is Housing Works. So all one word, lowercase, that's our Wi-Fi password. So would you make a note of that for me so I don't forget to add the password protection? Since not everyone is here today, I'm really glad we have about one representative from most of the organizations. So if you can just be the person to share this info with your team and tell them, hey, you can view all the slides on the website here. That would be really helpful. So yeah, our goals obviously with all this stuff are first and foremost safety and security. We just want everyone, clients, providers, everyone to feel safe here. We want to promote trust. We want this to be a space where clients are able to grow their trust with the service providers. So we're trying to facilitate that however we can. Obviously access to housing. And then we want to make this as collaborative as possible. So these will be the kind of things as we're working, over the next couple of weeks and months, if you think of ways that we can promote these goals better or change systems to make things work more smoothly for these purposes, please do tell us, because we'll all be learning together. I think most of you know Eric and Leticia already, but they will be the people for all your questions, concerns, if issues come up. That's who you want to go to. Eric is still in Europe right now, but he'll be back on next week. Yeah, but Leticia is here, so that's good. MOUs, we had a lot of questions about this. Just if there is any confusion, please come talk to me afterwards. But to be clear, it's not a legally binding document, nor is it a contract. If your agency has to change your hours that you're here, if you're like, hey, we're short-staffed, we can't be there for 3 months, whatever it is, there's no hard feelings, there's no repercussions to you. The only reason we have these are, one, we just want to be able to say publicly who our partners are. So it helps us to have like a document of that. And then two is mostly just to get your schedules and what services you'll be offering here, just so we can say that and be speaking from what was actually written. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions. The intent of this is not to bind anyone to anything. It's really just to build our partnership. Go ahead. I'd say it's up to your organization, but I would probably check with your supervisor and then see what they say. Yeah. Yeah. All right, key cards. So we have these awesome badges that we can distribute to those of you who sign your the key card forms. The way this works is that each agency has up to two badges as needed. And you will have one point person for your organization. So for example, with Pacific Pride Foundation, Levin is the contact for the key cards. So Levin is actually going to be in charge of both the key cards and making sure they get to the right people. If someone loses a key card, they'll want to go through Levin for Pacific Pride. So it's important that your organization know who your key person is. That's the person who needs to sign the form, and we're going to give the cards to them so that they can be the person we're talking to about key card issues. We won't give it to individual staff, just to that one person. So these work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We can make exceptions as needed. They open those front double doors right there. There's like the way this works for anybody who's not familiar is you hold it just flat, like you're holding it against the wall in front of the reader, and you hear that beep noise. Typically you'll hear the actual lock unlock too. But it opens that front double door. It opens the staff bathroom, which is the bathroom that you all should be using, that SBX. Then it opens your designated offices. So for example, the Pacific Pride Foundation also opens the healthcare room. Correct. So, but you can use other rooms. You just need to let us know, and we can either, maybe if it's just like a one-time thing or, you know, once in a while thing, we can do it. Or if we need to add rooms to you, we can do that. Let me check if we added, I'll check if we added the conference room to everyone. I'm not sure. Yeah, we can, I'll double check that.
Yeah, I think we add that.
Yeah, we can totally add it.
So we'll
Yeah.
probably add conference rooms.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to like bring your card in. We can just update them from the computer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the only issue will be that there is an alarm on the building, so we would just need to like coordinate with you to make sure one of our staff disarms it before you're going in to use offices. So.
If I'm here every day, I have to call somebody to disarm that alarm. Well, is that early in the morning? I'm just trying to. Well, we probably won't be open before 8 because the center won't open.
Oh, for you, yeah. 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 These, we don't have these upstairs yet, unfortunately, but that's coming. Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah. Yeah. No, you have regular old keys for the time being. Yeah. No, you're good. A couple of policies, and there's also, these are written, there's like a piece of paper in the wall in there to clarify, but please don't leave the door propped open unless you have a staff member in the room. We just want to make sure doors are staying shut unless there's somebody in there. All the doors auto lock. So if you shut your card in the room, then you'll have to go get a staff member to let you back in.
Our staff members have key cards, everyone needs cards. And that's the access.
Yes, yeah. So the lived experience ambassadors, they will not be able to let you into every individual room. But if you come talk to me, Kai, Leticia, Eric, Rich, we can let you into a room. That's a good clarification. If somebody loses a card, please report it to us in writing just so we know and we can immediately talk to our security team. They're not the cheapest things in the world. It's $25 for a replacement card. So if you can just be aware of that and try and not lose cards, that'd be great.
So when you lose a card.
Yeah. So that's why we want it in writing so that we can, yeah. When it comes to meeting clients, so this is going to be a distinction with the open hours for right now are 10 to 2, Monday to Friday. So during those hours, all clients are going to have to go through the welcome room and do the intake, which is like 2 questions, basically your name and what are you here for. So during the open hours, you can't just like meet your client and walk them in. They need to go through that intake process. However, if you want to meet your client at 3 p.m. or whatever after the open hours are done, that's fine. You'll just let them in through those double doors because we won't have anybody in that welcome room anymore. All right, so you may reserve any of the shared rooms for additional meetings or office hours. This is somewhat tentative. Right now we have the rooms that can be reserved are the conference room, the caseworker room, they're labeled on the outside, the healthcare room, the behavioral health room, and then also, actually I don't have it on here, but this employment assistance room. I say this is tentative only because if, for example, Pacific Pride says, hey, we actually have some like whatever client files that are staying in here, or whatever, if there's a reason why we need to not have a room open for reservations, just come talk to us and we can kind of sort that out and figure out what needs to happen. Or if we need to just get a locked file cabinet in a room, whatever that might be. So.
There are lists of those in this packet.
Yes, well, actually, no, but so to reserve a room, there is a page about how to reserve a room and it has some screenshots of what the website looks like. I would encourage you, if you have time later today, to just go try it out, because then you'll see how it works and you can feel free to give me a call if you have questions. But on there, you'll see a list of all those rooms. You can view a calendar of when they're booked, all that kind of thing. It's just provider, yeah, and that's also on the website too. So if you lose that paper, it'll be listed there. You can use the common area anytime too. You don't have to reserve this space. So if you just want to meet a client here at 3 p.m., go for it. Just know that, like SBX staff, other people might be walking around. So just be aware of that. But yeah, there's no issue with that on our part. And I also like conference room. If you want to have a staff event, whatever it is, like if you want to do a training on something, it can be used for that purpose too. This isn't like the purpose is for this to be a hub for all of you. We want to encourage you, most of you do this anyway, but just like wear something that has your organization's logo, whether it's a lanyard or a badge or name tag or a shirt, just so that the clients can be aware as they're seeing people of who's who and who's with what organization. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when you arrive. So let's say you're here on Tuesday from 10 to 2 during the open hours. So you'll obviously enter through those double doors because that's what your badge opens. Make sure somebody from your organization tells Eric or Leticia that you're here. There's always a chance that they're going to be running around like a chicken with their head cut off. So just as long as they're aware you're here, that way they can tell clients who need to talk to you that you're in the room. We have these sign-up clipboards. This is optional if it's helpful. This is one of those like systems we're trying out, but you don't have to do this at all. These will be living inside the rooms. You can see which room on the back. And if you want, let's say you have open hours between 10 to 2, you could write, hey, Be Well is here. You could write today's date, and then you could leave it outside. There's a pen, and then people could come and sign up for a slot with you. If that's helpful. If you don't want to do that, if you actually have like set appointments already, whatever it is, you can just leave the clipboard inside. If you have a mixture of preset appointments and open hours, you could always just like cross out times, or if you're like, hey, we're leaving at 1 p.m., just cross out the times after 1. But we're just trying to think of some way for people to, like for clients to be aware that you're here and you're seeing people. So again, use it if it's helpful. If it's not, just leave it in your room and just leave that bin empty, and that's fine. And this will go back in your room at the end of the day.
Will there be on the outside door session?
Ooh, we don't have that. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a little activity.
Sure.
Actually have like a little packet that goes on the door. It's in the meeting, out of office.
Oh, the wheel.
Yeah, the little
Mm.
Yes, they have that too. Other glasses.
There are glass doors is the one funny thing, but okay. Okay. That's great.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, that is a possibility. So we do encourage you to arrive a few minutes early, just set up if you want to do the clipboard or however it is. When
Early means to our appointment, to our first appointment.
yeah, like depending on when you arrive. So like, for example, some of the organizations have said, we're going to arrive at 10 a.m. And that's technically when clients are going to start arriving. Probably there'll be a little bit of a bottleneck, people doing the intake, but I think we'll get faster at that over time. So if you're showing up consistently at 10 o'clock on the dot, you may start having people at your door pretty quickly, potentially. We'll see. When you leave, this is all listed on that paper inside the room, but make sure you shut off the lights, make sure you close the door behind you. The rooms, most of them have door stoppers, so just leave that in the room because I'll be worried it's just going to get kicked somewhere out here on accident and then we'll never see it again. Leave the clipboard inside the room. Again, let Eric or Leticia know that you're leaving just so they don't send somebody to your office and it's dark and empty. And then again, go out the double doors. So fairly straightforward there. So yeah, like I said, feel free to meet clients anytime outside of the drop-in hours. Your badges, like I said, work 9 to 5. So anytime between 9 to 5, you could set a meeting with the client. Just make sure you reserve a room if you need that. The other thing about if you meet a client outside of drop-in hours. So during drop-in hours, we'll have staff that are like monitoring anyone coming in and off the property, like, you know, stuff like you can't smoke on the property, you can't loiter, that kind of stuff. After that 10 to 2 window, our staff will no longer be monitoring that actively. So if you know you have a client coming at 3 p.m., it's your responsibility to just, you know, maybe watch over by the door, make sure they find their way in, and then same thing, you're responsible for them until they exit the parking lot as well. This is just a part of us trying to, you know, be as good of neighbors as we can, and also manage our staff time as we're figuring this out. That all make sense so far? There will, yeah, go ahead.
Is there like a way you can do that for the report, so that way, if somebody or Eric or busy, you're like, you know, hey, I'm here, and then everyone's alerted, okay,
Oh.
like a check in, check out, and you know, like that on app, they have like a little where you have to log in.
Okay.
And it says, okay, Debbie's here from public health, there's the landed, and then they know that I'm here.
Yeah.
There is a phone number with text message.
Yes. Yeah, but in terms of like for everyone to know, yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't have a good way offhand, but I think that would be helpful. Because then like Deborah will know you're here, and yeah. Yeah. Sure.
There's probably at some point in time where emergency procedures and change your policy procedures. There needs to be a way that you know who's in the building.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Right.
But then, yeah, you probably do that.
Yeah. You know, and there is just in response to that, there is no sign out. Like a client could just go out those double doors. since they'll be unlocked going that way. So yeah. So yeah, that's a good idea. We'll work on that. So for those of you who work in HMIS, we're working with the county right now to figure this out. So starting on Tuesday, there's no like FARO Center project in HMIS, but I think that's in the works. So just know we'll be talking with all of you soon about how that will function, so that we can sort of keep track of what we're doing here at the center. But that being said, it always helps if you keep data no matter what, even if you're not in HMIS. We don't currently have a specific request from you all of like numbers and what kinds of services you provide, but at some point we probably will start asking for that. So the more you just get in the habit of, I think most of you do log numbers anyway, the more you get in the habit of having that tracked, it'll be easier down the road than when we start asking you if you can share some de-identified data like that.
Because when you go back to the council or whoever
Yeah.
for funding, you're going to need not only numbers of centers, but you know, how many resources you help.
Yep. Yeah.
So much sooner than later.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to get it from this.
No, absolutely. I think the hope is that my hope would be July 1st or like at least early July, because then it's the start of the fiscal year. We can start with the quarter, but.
So, I mean, we are currently working on this, but the way that you all work in HMIS, HMIS is can be a tad difficult at times, especially when figuring out like how to get it set up. And we're working on the back end. The solution that we think we found is that we will enter everyone in HMIS as soon as they get here and figure out who their assigned case manager is, and if not, figure out where they need to go and the time. The project, the level 3 project would be FARO Center, and we would give each of you access to that project. So everyone will record on that project, and you can all run your own reports from that project. So that's the hope. If we do that, then you're still seeing your clients who have all the services that you're delivering. It's essentially just showing the place as this one. So, does that make sense?
So we would report under FARO Center and under.
We wouldn't have to do 2 reports just under FARO Center, but you would be able to run the report for yourself for all the work that you've done there to have that for your own reporting.
That's the hope.
They think though.
Having been a part of.
Yeah, this is not set up yet, so it's like, we're really, yeah.
There's complexity. They're running it up the chain, making sure that it all works. But essentially they're this is one of the first times that we're trying to give access to a lot of people from different agencies under one project. And they're trying to figure that piece out.
Right, because we can't have that come to every project, the normal thing. And so that would, we would have to make sure that you guys, that, the HIPAA.
Yes. And so, like I said, I think the way that it'll work is that you'll be able to enter under that project, but your visibility will only be shown for the work that you've entered under.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Laura.
No, so I'm sorry, so we'll use our own.
Yeah, again, this is what we figured out, and they're running it up the chain. They change next week. So I'm just trying to give you an idea. We're on it, and we met with Central. We'll talk a little later about that too. But we're trying to figure out ways that we want to meet all of your billing demands and make sure everybody is able to bill correctly, and that there's form handoffs between agencies so that it works well, and we could record all the work that you all are doing. Like, as much as we're reporting out on it, like our job's coordination. Like that's it, right? You all are the experts on all the service delivery, and we want to make sure that you each get credit for that work, and that we're able to show that work that you're all doing here. Because the idea is to make it simple for you to meet clients. That's the place, right? So if we can't figure that out and it doesn't work pretty well in that, like, that's a fail on our part. So we're gonna figure it out. Does that make sense? So it's in the works. The county right now, HCD said, if we're not able to start entering into HMIS exactly how we want it on day one, that's fine. Like, you all see clients, you enter them in just how you normally would. We're figuring out the process, again, building the plans for flying it. We're figuring out the process and we'll release the policy as soon as what that looks like. Is that fair? All right, thank you.
Can you actually stay up? Did you have a question too, Laura?
I'm just trying to process all of it. I know that our blueprint until the HTML and all of that, and they hold their clients. I was a little late, so I apologize. Our individuals coming in here and then you guys are giving and that is enrolling.
We're not giving anyone any lessons, to be clear. Mainly, we're gonna check when they come in, we're gonna see if they're enrolled in HMIS at all and enroll them if they're not, right? If they are, we're gonna see where they're at in the process. If they've been talking with New Beginnings, we're gonna be like, great, we're gonna see if New Beginnings is here and line you up with them. And that's kind of, we're trying to, set them up with people so that they're not, and this is a hard policy because we want no wrong doors, right? But B, we also don't want people switching every day, like which client, like, and provider they're with. So we're trying to solve both of those things. And so that's why, like, it's a thing between also STEMCAL and HCD. They're trying to work that out as well. So this project is just bringing up a lot of the fun issues that we deal with. Yeah, absolutely. And they understand why it matters to service providers. Like, they get the implications of it all. So we're trying to work it out on the back end to make sure. Okay. So at the beginning, what'll happen is we're going to check people in, and we may be able to pull them up in HMIS. And if not, we may see who is available to enter them into HMIS. Right? If no one's available at the time. If they are in HMIS already and we see who they're working with, or if they've been assigned like a case, if they have an ECM provider and they haven't met with, we're going to try to line them up with you, right? So that's how it'll work at the beginning. Okay.
One thing too, we've talked a little bit about how it's a low barrier entry. So you could come in here and you just have to answer the 2 questions to get in the door. We're not going to require any HMIS stuff to just sit in the room. We are going to be, trying to encourage people as they're sitting out here. We're going to keep coming to them day after day and being like, hey, are you interested in trying to, get moving on this process? But we're not going to kick anybody out, whether based on their status in HMIS or CES. So I don't have a slide about CalAIM. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Sure. Like where we're at with STEMCAL. Yeah. So we've been trying to meet with STEMCAL. They've been very busy. We finally met with them yesterday, and so that was on the calendar for months now. We talked about everything going on here. There's a lot of exciting stuff that we'll be able to do. So for starters, and this is kind of outside of all of your work, we're trying to register the center as a daytime rehabilitation center, which then that means we can start offering other services for day help, things like resume building and bringing in people how to teach life skills, conflict management, things like that. We're just trying to offer other services to get people in the door to see, right? And so if we could start offering classes or anything else that would bring people in the door, that's up. So that's one part of STEMCAL. That shouldn't affect any of your funding or anything that any of y'all are doing. And if it does in the slightest, we'll defer to you and figure it out. So that's how that is. The other piece to that is we know that there's the ECM, the Enhanced Care Management, that many of you have either been assigned or you're seeing clients. They're understanding that we're one of the counties that they've been rolling this out in, and as they're rolling it out, they're still figuring out the kinks now. We're hearing from a lot of providers of different issues between providing. And so even when our job as a neutral party is to say, hey, this is what we're hearing, how can you help us out? And they were unaware of some of those things. And when we started laying out how it works, for instance, if somebody already has an enhanced care manager and then they go to another agency, or do they switch ECN? How does that work? And they were like, oh, we didn't think through that. And we were like, oh, that would be really good for a center that has all of these agencies. And that's something that we really want to figure out. It's, and they're going back right now. CenCal just met with them yesterday. They're going back and they're seeing on their end how they can make that work in a way that matters to them. What they did want to relate is that they understand that people are worried about funding and figuring out how funding, as well as client base, how do we keep clients getting the help that they need and they're not just, you know, going around the roulette wheel figuring out where services are rather than seeing people all the way through. And so they know that those two things matter and we're figuring it out. Our next step to that is CenCal has said that they're going to join us in the provider meeting going forward. And so we can start bringing up these questions. And we've asked to host a provider meeting with all of you all and hopefully some of the decision makers at your organization with them so that we can have like an open discussion on how UCM will work and how that will relate into all of this, because it is fairly newer for our county and we're trying to figure out how we can do that well and how we can do this. So I know I don't have a lot of answers with that. Like I said, a lot of this is us, you know, bringing people to the table to figure it out, and that's kind of what. Can I answer more questions around that? I know I just dumped a lot of information with Calais. Did I piss you all off? Or? I'm trying to read your faces. I was like, whoa. Yeah, what's that?
I just know that we run into issues where it's just hard somewhere else they may have not been there for a while, or the provider change it, so there's just a lot of things that
Absolutely.
we're in for over a year, so you know.
And they're seeing that some folks, you know, there's one thing that they wanted us to know is that there's more than enough clients and there's more than enough funding out there. It's trying to figure out how we're seeing all the clients and how we're divvying them up. They also realize that they've assigned people because of personal cases. They've assigned people in ECS and didn't realize that they were already working with somebody else or what have you. And those are all these issues are coming up. They haven't figured out how we're going to deal with it. So our job is going to be bring them to the table and how to talk through it so that we can do, we have to come up with a process and a system because the system currently isn't working because I don't think it's been really fleshed out.
I think we just have to be like the client has to be assigned to an agency and a client has to be and we need some guidance on
What the difference is.
well, that I know, because what we do need some, well, if you're assigned, you can still enroll it.
Sure.
But, and then we need somehow, when you're bringing it up, we need to know exactly what kind of agency to buy.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, that changes everything. And we need to know which agency has to do that grant. Because people.
The community supports grant.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For mental health, or when you get care for like that, provider and simultaneously do both, so that you can get housing. Yeah, so it's just not confusing the clients with the language.
Absolutely. And I think like if we're focused on client care, which I know we all are, right? I think it gets even more confusing if they've been seeing somebody for like a primary care health physician, and then now they need housing. Is the healthcare provider able to, you know, do case management for housing? And we also know that capacity issues abound in all of your organizations because there's more work than, you know, what we have. And so there's got to be a way to figure that out too. And so, I mean, ideally, again, this is the first steps of this kind of thing where we're going to be in each other's business a lot more. I'm hoping that we'll be able to develop some more camaraderie between each other. And when we don't have capacity, able to figure out where people are at and how we can move folks around. That's helpful, you know. I mean, we want to get people full health and the care that they need.
You guys know you were thinking this big of loans, so we said, let's have a
Those pieces, no, definitely not.
Yeah, we got the relational stuff to be there.
Yeah.
The other thing is super fun.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Like I'm confident. What I think what's interesting is what we've seen in other counties is day centers do open, but they hire everyone under the day center. So it would be like SBAC would open it, and then SBAC would hire a mental health worker, case manager, and then they just become this bigger and bigger thing. And we really didn't want to create that. That was like the one thing we absolutely didn't want to do because our job has and always will be coordination. Like we want to bring people together, create strategic plans, get everyone moving. And I keep saying this, like you all are the experts. We actually believe that. So why wouldn't we keep you as experts in your own organization figuring things out? So we're really trying to figure it out, and we haven't seen a plan like this, but that doesn't mean it's not doable. All right. Thank you. I know I'm talking a lot. Sorry, Alvin.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, a couple other specific things about the center. So when it comes to like incidents that happen, which they may and will happen, there is, Eric went over our sort of ejection suspension policy. I don't have it on the slide here, mainly because we don't want you all to be the bad guy as much as we can limit it. So if there's a situation where you feel like someone probably should be ejected, we'd like for you to talk to Eric and Leticia and then involve them in the process. Most likely they will do the exit. If it's an emergency situation where the person presents an immediate threat to themselves or others, you are welcome to make the exit yourself. I don't want anyone in harm's way. But as a general rule, we would rather that you include Eric and Leticia in the decision and then they're doing the actual ejection. Does that sound good? Same thing with incidents, just make sure you communicate any incidents that happen. No incident is too small, really, with Eric or Leticia. Depending on the level of the incident, then they may send you to the website to fill out that report form so we have some documentation of what happened and about what follow-up we need to do. Emergencies, please defer to Eric and Leticia. They'll be in charge of if anything should come up, what we need to do, when we need to evacuate, those sorts of things. So our lived experience team, many of you have met many of those ambassadors. They'll be wearing these blue polos. Sorry, the picture is a little grainy, but you'll see them walking around throughout the day. Also, Damasio is going to be the full-time City Net case manager. So we're really excited that he'll be here just as a fixture. And then we'll have other SBX staff kind of popping in and out as well. So those will be people you'll see pretty much every time you're here. But again, as a general rule, the people you want to go to for questions are Eric and Leticia. Yeah, exactly. Like most of their role is answering simple questions about where things are, assisting with cleanup. Somebody will be monitoring the computer lab, which is now we have computers. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I know I missed that. With our lived experience ambassadors, these are lived experience. And this sometimes maybe some of their first jobs in a very long time. And so we ask for your patience with them as well. We've been doing trainings with them like every other week for the past every week for the past 3 months of all sorts of things. And we know that this is going to be really fun, right? So with that, our biggest thing that we've asked of them is that they're ambassadors, that they're welcoming, and that they're here. There's assigned roles for each of them, and we can talk through quickly where they'll be at, just because I want them to know how the center will run. So we'll have one ambassador in the welcome room in the very front, and they're going to just be saying hi with people, checking them in, mainly get people signing the code of conduct. The second position will be kind of the welcome front of house. And so they'll welcome people when they come through the doors and introduce them to wherever they need to go. The third position is a walker roamer, and they're just kind of walking around and checking out with people. And the fourth position will be kind of based here, and they'll be monitoring the computer lab as well as the restroom. And when we say monitoring the restroom, it's we're putting up these stanchions on both sides, and people could go use it, but we're putting one person back at a time and checking the timer for the guest restroom. It locks for 10 minutes, and then the lock unlocks. And so we're making sure everybody knows that exists. And that's part of the job of the masters. They also will be walking around about once an hour around the block, just checking where things are at. And we should have 3 ambassadors on in the morning, 4 for the main part of the day, and 3 in the afternoon. For the first hour and the last hour, we have 3. For the main part of the day, we have 4. They also will all have walkie-talkie that will meet with Leticia and Eric. So there's that that'll be happening, and yeah, that's it. Who has questions? Yeah.
Then it will be around the
They will be around from, I think, 9 to 3, but so there'll be an hour before and an hour back.
Yeah.
But they'll be here 3, 4, and 3 for the hours. Other question? And so what I've really asked of them is that we've said, yes, there's good cop, bad cop. They are always good cops. There's never a time that they're bad cops. So if you see ambassadors being bad cops, please tell us, because that's really, really important. They were like, yeah, like if we see them have like a crack pipe fall out on the bench, should we like kick them out? I'm like, no, you will never kick people out. That is never your job, right? And so that's the thing with like, we want to be low barrier, and we're trying to give Leticia and Eric some leeway in terms of talking with people. If someone shows up slightly inebriated and they're going to be okay and sitting in the corner, maybe it's okay. If they're falling over and belligerent, we may say like, hey, maybe today's not a good day for you to be at the center, right? So we're trying to not have hard and fast rules, but does that make sense? So yeah, please let us know. The ambassadors are here to help you as well. We've tried talking with them about like, hey, we don't have like 20 supervisors, but if someone asks me to do something, please do it. And so we've at least prepped them there. Let us know how it goes. All right. And we are going to try to have, I don't know if we set this up yet, we are going to try to have provider meetings at least once a week where we're like really checking in. And we'll get to this. The first week, we're doing like debriefs every day.
We're not expecting that from these people in this room.
No, unless
you yeah, if you want to stick around, honestly, we'll take your feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, like if you have any, let us know. Like I said, we've been just working with them a lot. The trainings will be continuing. We're already experiencing like just, you know, like showing up issues. And we had to have like big conversations about like, hey, this is an actual job. And in real jobs, you can't like not show up for work, right? And so we're like trying to, and there's going to be consequences for that. And I think they're just now starting to realize that, like, oh, this isn't like happy fun time. Like, and even when we start like writing in all the paperwork and stuff, it's not, they're like, oh, this isn't just a gift card, it's a real job. Yeah, like, yes, it's supposed to be something you can put on your resume, you know, so we're excited about it, but, you know, this is part of all of the work that we're doing. So, yeah. Sound good? Thank you all. All right, keep it up.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, we probably will have rolling applications. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mentioned this. We will talk more about what kind of data sharing we'll be asking for later, if there's anything outside of HMIS. Wi-Fi access. So we're asking you all to use the FARO guest network, and the password is HousingWorks. This is also available for clients too. We do have the computer lab back here, and that's an option, but yeah.
So that's an open, not really secure. Yeah.
What's that?
Not secure as the provider.
No, yeah, this is open to all the individuals on site. Yes. Upstairs, you would need to set up your own. Like CityNet has their own. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Just a reminder, I think you all know, parking situation, just really these 3 spots are the first come, first serve, because we've got SBAC, Good Sam, and CityNet who are both upstairs. A few just simple reminders. I think you all know this, smoking is not permitted on the property. We are permitting service animals, you know, depending on behavior. The computer lab back here during open hours, like most days we'll have enough staff that we'll just have the monitor there so we can run it ourselves. But if we don't have enough staff on any day, we'll just put the stanchions up, and so it'll be closed during open hours. But you all can still take a client back there. We just want to make sure there's a staff member back there if clients are using it. They're Chromebooks. I encourage you to go check it out. During open hours, we're restricting it to like a 30-minute session. Yeah. If there's not a line, yeah, then they can probably stay longer. We do have a printer, but it's on the SBAC network, and so you're welcome to use it. You'll just probably have to go through Eric or Leticia to print stuff there. So just a heads up with that. You all are to use the staff restroom. We're trying to reduce bottlenecks as much as we can by limiting who goes to which one. We are closed on federal holidays, so July 4th will be the first one. So we're open for, you know, 7 days, and then we have a holiday. If anything comes up, there's a first aid kit that we will leave above the kitchen sink, in the kitchenette sink, I guess. And then I think Eric and Leticia are working on trying to schedule that weekly meeting for a check-in with you all. Yeah, go ahead.
We can't access.
So, yeah, okay. So we may need to talk about that then.
We may need to get another network. We'll figure it out.
There's a lot of things we won't be.
Okay.
I don't think you will.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk after about what the restrictions are. Yeah, go ahead. That's what we're trying to figure out. I think what the hope is to do in person here, but you know, I know that won't work for everyone all the time. So yeah, we need to get that. Yeah. So there are a couple, I think, action items before we get to the guiding principles. So I just want to make sure, if you want to get your key card today, I just need to have that form signed by your agency's point person, whoever that might be. And if you give that to me afterwards, then I will give you the key card or key cards for your agency. Yeah, totally. I can, and honestly, I can just scan it with my phone and that'll be fine. Yeah, you can just use the guest one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Oh, the code is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. The other is, please do go ahead and check out the room reservation software. I think my hope would be that if you know you're going to be here pretty consistently every week at the same time, go ahead and book that time. You can like set it up as a recurring thing. That way we just already have it on the calendar and it's set. If there's ever an issue where you're like, hey, I need a room and there's never anything available in my slot, just talk to us and we'll see what we can figure out. But yeah, I really encourage you to go check that out today. All right. It is the 21st, yeah, for those of you filling the form. Summer solstice. Yes, yeah, once the meeting's done, if you can just come give those to me, I'll give you the card. So the last thing I wanted to do was just talk through guiding principles. So this is something we do with all of our collaborative projects, is we just come up with sort of what are the ways that we want to treat each other as people who are collaborating on this project together, so that we kind of have our own set of standards for how we're operating here. These are drafts from an other project, so these do not have to be the guiding principles that we adopt as a group. These are also in your folder if it's hard to see those for any reason. But can we just do a quick popcorn and we'll read through these and then we can see if we want to edit, add to, or tweak. We'll just go around the room if that's okay. So can I start over here with Demacia? We read the first one.
Client.
Thank you.
work in the cooperative is constructed the end of the day. That's in a way towards all starting to offer warm handoffs whenever possible.
I'm gonna try and zoom it in. Kai, will you do the next one? Number 4. There you go, that's an edit. Shannon, will you go?
Communicate openly and in a timely fashion.
Respect all opinions and perspectives.
Recognize each other's responsibilities to their client and be a friendly and independent provider.
And I think Fernando. So yeah, so we want to just come up with our own here. We can use these if we want, but want to come up with our own so that we can all be creating a really good community for us as service providers. So let's open it up. Any thoughts on these or things that are missing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where it says, also warm handoff, that means like, I have a client.
When we wrote this, the intention was more just like verbally. Yeah, I think it's the fact that we're actually physically in a building together means you can actually walk the client over and introduce them to Shannon, for example. Yeah, warmly. Yeah, this is my good friend Shannon. Yeah. I know it takes us a minute to read and process.
This is our touchy feely moment for this, right? But it is important because this is more of like, how are we going to say that we will resolve the treatment? And again, this isn't like, oh, legally binding because it's about goodwill, but it's important for us to get things out here in terms of how we actually want to offer. So, like, again, it's something you all decide, so I can make suggestions. But I'm wondering if there's language that we need about like upholding other agencies, for instance. Like, if you have a client who's talking really disparagingly about an agency, is there a way to not just be like, yeah, aren't they the worst? Like how could we say like, oh, that's not been my experience, or how do we like continue to maintain neutrality? Like, I don't know if that's something that I bring to you, but I'm just trying to put things out there that like, what's some things that we would say, yeah, let's all work to maintain that for the betterment.
There's some built-in accountability because the walls are pretty thin too. So.
So that training comes from, so for here, I can, some client will put a Bible in here, you know, that kind of gives you that. So it makes sense to have something here where we remember to say, but I don't think, no, that may be.
Absolutely.
Did you want to add that where you're saying it was like understand the value of other partners?
Yeah. Partners.
Any other thoughts?
There are actions policy for us if we don't pay. We go to.
You go to provider jail. No, we don't have anything like that right now. Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, because all are here to provide a service, right? They're all working for the community to provide a service. They all have different skills, backgrounds, that we bring to the table, but we work together, right? We make this, it happen. So something that I've always said is always team, even if you work with me, right? So even if I work for county or work for health or wherever, we'll work together. I used to use the acronym WITMAN. Manage was, you know, together, everyone achieves sport. So if we remember that we're working together for the concept of our city, and I think that we can remember to respect each other and teach each other at high standards because we're all here together to try to achieve the same purpose. And that's to make a difference in someone else's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the hope of us being in the same building is actually it gets more people housed than we would have otherwise. So.
So if they can see that you work together, and they're going to trust you because if you have beef with another agency or something, they're like, well, how can I help you?
Sure.
If you guys are not safe, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We have to be that forefront of what they see. And if there is something seen in the pot, you don't have to let the client see that. You work on outside of them.
Yeah.
I tell you that since we moved on, difference in the products of our clients. We don't have concern there, big parking, rapid rehousing, veterans program, all that stuff in one room, like in one shot. So the client moving away, they get faster with job faster. It's incredible. So I kind of look at this like that, like we're all here together, and it's so much that the quality of they can get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see
No, that makes sense.
I'd like to highlight the A and again.
Couldn't do bold fonts. Let me do an underline.
Because then that tells you you spell out P. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Anything else? This is not like a, written in stone so we can keep adding to or editing, but it is something we want to refer back to. Like we'll bring this up when we do our provider meetings just to keep us all on the same page about like, we're trying to build a community here too for us. So. More will be revealed. All right, cool. All right. Go ahead. Speaking of things we'll fight over.
So how can we get they need that would be confusing at first. Will there be a time
I'm not sure if it's up, but we have, it is on the flyers that we're handing out. It says, please find street parking, but maybe we can put something up temporarily too in the first week at least. Sure. Yeah, fair. Yeah. Oh, that's good too.
Good families, so you don't have parking because there's stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. I encourage you to go walk around again. Maybe check out your office one more time. Let us know if you have issues. But bring me your forms. And maybe we'll see you Monday at the ribbon cutting, Monday 4 p.m. Thank you. Eric? What are the Wi-Fi requirements for you all?
Well, I mean, yeah, they probably won't let me use our work computers on an unsecured network.
Does it need to be separate from?
They can get good reception and they can do a hotspot from there. FARO is on a computer in a pinch. It doesn't always roll that way.
Do you need to be like, what if we create just a provider network that's password protected?
So like if it's being shared with Deborah, for example.
Yeah. Otherwise, it has to be a BWell specific. Got it. Okay, that's good to know. Do you one or two? Two. And then I'll just need you to tell me.
The main one, but you never know. Someone else, like Kendra, might want to come down and meet with a client.
So will you just let me know the name who two will be like most often assigned to, just so we can put it in our system? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. And do you need one or two? Who are the names going to be on them? Yes. I don't know if I've actually met her in person ever. So she would be number one? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Until we get another,
Okay. Okay.
I would rather here.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Oh, she got them already? Well, although I don't know if I gave them to her. So I'll...
Did you get your keys already? So that, I'm gonna go look up there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you there.
So for the Wi-Fi network, it sounds like for BWell, typically it's their own separate network. Is that the case for you all, or what's the, like, the other option would be if we just had a provider network that's password protected. Are you?
We can't access medical records or anything that's being protected.
So do you, but you don't, like Shannon and Deborah? Okay.
Yeah, it would be okay.
Okay.
Or I can always use my hotspot.
Sure.
I use that a lot.
I mentioned that, I first had problems with my hotspot. You have to use it.
That's when I'm staying at the hotel room or whatever.
Thank you. Cool.
And so it should be active.
It should be active now, actually. Oh, really? Here, let's, I wonder if it's like having trouble going through the, let's try it on your office door real quick to see if it works at all.
We have this, okay, one.
Okay, so that worked.
Yeah, we take one.
Do you want another one?
No, I think one.
Okay. Cool.
Because we can share if Anna or tries to come over.
Okay.
I was gonna ask about the hours, because I changed my hours,
Okay.
because Tuesday seems to be very popular for that room.
Okay.
So I think I put 10, let me look at the email, but I'm on Wednesday.
Okay.
I'll do Wednesdays from 10 to 2 for now. Let me look at my email. And when you guys change your hours, and I'll check in for you guys. I forgot, we have so many emails, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't have my